Okay, I am online now, and I just notified the Discord crew. Let me just put in my ears. Now you can tell that I've watched a lot of Hickok 45 because even though I don't own the thing that he talks about, I have adopted some of the things I heard him say, like I'm going to put in my ears. There we go. And let's get that music going. I did check the previous stream and it seemed like the music was a little loud. So it should be a little bit better this time. Not quite as loud. I made more sure to... let's see, can you hear it? I'm not sure I can hear it. Let's make sure I'm... these things aren't actually doing the right thing. Oh, actually, you know what? I know why. I haven't hooked them up yet. Maybe now's a good time to do that. Let's go. Give me a minute. Let me just set this up. I'm trying to connect my AirPod Pro. I just got some new ones. And I'm just going to connect them to this. I give them names. I give my devices names. And this one was named Kazuhura. The other one was named Ahab, which if you game a little bit, you might be able to know that this is references to Metal Gear Solid 5 specifically. Let's see. I gotta press this thing down. Okay. Let's see if I can find it now. Hopefully it will. I'm just trying to bring it really close to my computer here. And it is just not having any of this, huh? Let's try that again. Well, no one's in the chat, so I don't think I have to rush. And this is a slow Sunday again. Ah, there they are. Connect. Okay. So I will... no, I don't want to do that. I will... Yeah. Okay. And change it back to the ones I have in here, which is... There we go. There we go. Ooh, okay. Despite the fact it's a Sunday, I actually have an agenda. Can you believe it? And let me just clear up a few things. I want to get this new pen display, the Asus one I got last week or so, because I want to use that for any whiteboarding. Let's see, how do I... Here we go. Oh, okay, we have a question. What's on the agenda? Bought a Wacom Cintiq 16 after watching his stream vids. I found a Wacom Intuos S for $5 in a thrift store. Wow, that's an excellent deal. Okay, you're liking the Cintiq for gaming. Okay, well, for game dev at least. That is good to hear. That is good to hear. What's on the agenda? Good question. Let me bring up my notes and I will tell you what I have planned. And of course, if people want me to try things or talk about topics, I am more than happy to try those things out. Where's my agenda? You know, I had a email conversation with a former colleague and he asked me what I'm doing and I said, oh, I'm retired. And, you know, he was asking like, you know, what are you doing now in retirement? And I said, oh, would you believe it? I've become a live streamer on YouTube, and he's so curious to watch my videos. Okay, agenda. I'm going to talk about the Samsung... I'm going to talk briefly about the Samsung S11. I'm going to recap the discussion the very long investigation we did, I think Friday night, concerning UD-EMR pens, so that we're clear on what I discovered and what you might want to try out. Okay? I'll do a reminder on the new XP Pen Ultra 16 tablet announcement, because only one blog has mentioned it, so we probably just want to recap a few things. Someone asked me to test the initial activation force of the Wacom CP913 pen with on a Samsung tablet, and the IAF, and compare that to the IAF of the XP Pen X3 Pro pen with an XP Pen tablet, right? There's an update on Rebelle 8. We're going to take a look at. We're going to try, actually. And then there's a couple of updates from Magma that I want to take a look at. And, oh yeah, there's another thing I wanted to do, which is there's a demo of a new tool I built. So we're going to try showing you that and showing you why it might be interesting to use. It's certainly going to save me a lot of time. And in the middle of the stream, it'll help me communicate certain topics to you. So I'm happy about that, because there's something I'm often being asked about in the stream, and it's a little difficult to pull up the material. This will allow me to not only just pull up what I need, but this tool will help us interactively, like while we're streaming, analyze the pressure response curves of different pens, right? Oh, and then there's another topic, which is I just published an unlisted video on IAF. So we're going to do actually a watch party, so to speak. I'm going to play the video, and if anyone has feedback, we'll talk about it. This gives me an opportunity to get some early feedback. It's only a 10-minute video. It's not a long one. But I want to get it out tomorrow, and I thought, hey, why don't we try getting some feedback from this audience, right? I'm pretty proud of it. I haven't made a good video in about a month. I've been streaming more than making videos lately. So this one's kind of a return to form. It's a video about the tech of tablets. It's about IAF, as a matter of fact. And I think you'll find it interesting. It assembles some things that I've talked about before, but I think in a more cohesive way that's going to help people. And I'll talk about it in a second. Let's start with the Samsung S11. So this is a small update. And we'll take a look at some reviews if they're around. But the key thing to understand is that the Samsung S11 has been released. It's available right now. You can buy the S11 Ultra and the S11, just the S11. On Friday, I believe, I bought the S11 Ultra, and it should arrive here at my house in the Pacific Northwest of the United States by Tuesday. So Tuesday afternoon or evening, as I always do, whenever I get a new arrival, I'm just going to start streaming. I'm going to unbox it. I'm going to try some things out. It's going to be an interesting one, because the question we're all wondering is, what's up with this new S Pen? Is it just the same as the old S Pen minus the Bluetooth features? Is it a new pen tech? Is it any better in any way? We're going to find out. Ben Voigtmus has joined us. Hey, glad to see you, Ben Voigtmus. It's been a while since I've seen you. So yeah, it'll arrive Tuesday, the S11 Ultra. It cost me about $1,200. Or yeah, with tax, I think it came out a little bit more. But I'm a little nervous, actually, to be honest. I'll be honest with you. I have an S8 Ultra, and I really wasn't happy with it. Now, part of the reasons I wasn't happy with it is, I love the screen. I just felt it was a bit sluggish. And for something that cost $1,000+, it was underperforming my Mac. Now, what I hear is this new S11 Ultra is very powerful. Maybe not M4 iPad powerful, but maybe M3 iPad powerful, which is really good, right? You're in Vietnam, Ben Voigtmus. Well, are you you're visiting family, just taking a vacation or something? Because I think normally you're in Japan, right? But yeah, let us know what you're doing in Vietnam. Yeah, so I am excited because I'm hoping finally I'll get an experience which is a high performance, smooth, slick experience from a non Apple device. And I plan, I have used the S8 Ultra as a whiteboarding tool, and I want to try that when I'm live streaming. So that's another reason I want to get it. I think it can be a tool for me to not only monitor my live stream, but actually use it as a whiteboard for notes, etc. Because I found out, I have a complex setup here. I have one computer, which is the streaming computer, another one, which is the demo computer. Sometimes it's good if they're separate. Sometimes it's more convenient. But right now, I'm on my thinking is specialize the devices in front of me so that there's less confusion about what does what. When I change what happens on the Mac and the PC, it's mentally confusing, and it'll be easier for me to just mentally think when I use the whiteboard, go to the S8 or the S11 Ultra. Let's see. Ben Voigtmas says, I did a really bad financial decision of my vacation is going to last 3 weeks. I'm going to buy the 2S M size and draw 4 hours a day. That's a lot of drawing, but I hope you're enjoying it at least. Vet says, when it comes to indexing pens, I seem to have a hard time in regard to the pen rotating in my fingers and accidentally pressing the shortcut buttons. Yes, I do have a recommendation. I'm going to show you what I do. And just give me a second. I got to go get the pens. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, and I also struggle with all pens in accidentally hitting buttons and having them rotate, and that causes me to hit the buttons accidentally some more. So it's very irritating for myself. So what I did, accidentally, I discovered this why is this thing not rotating? I discovered this quite accidentally. Oh, I don't know why this thing isn't working. Okay, we'll figure that out in a second. Here's the Pro Pen 3. Now, there's red on it because there's some red tape, and there's nothing special. I have the button strip, which is designed to work when there's no grip. But what I accidentally did, because I just was having trouble finding things, was I don't know if you can see it. Let me put it close to my face. Can you see the button strip is raised a little bit, right? It's sticking out from the pen. This is actually the button strip that is intended to be used when you have the grip installed. So it sticks out from the pen. Now, at first I just thought, this is, I didn't pay attention because I always intended to change it back. However, I've been really liking it. And the reason for that is, because it raises the buttons up, my fingers touch the buttons accidentally less, right? That's part one, which is really nice. Part two is, now the pen has this thing on it which I can rest my fingers on and not touch the buttons, and so it's always in the same correct orientation, right? Like it's not rotating. It can't rotate because I'm holding the edges of the button strip, right? So there's no doubt now where my pen is and where the buttons are, and I can avoid pressing. So that is at least one small thing for you to experiment with, right? Let's see, Ben Voigtmas says, 1 hour in, but the Intuos has been insanely enjoyable. That is great to hear. I have moved over to doing, to using the Intuos Pro 2025, and I'm loving it. I've switched completely over. I've kind of, how can I say this? I haven't boxed my 2017. I boxed all of them but one. And that's because sometimes on stream people need me to try the 2017. But besides that, I have switched completely over to the 2025. It's just smaller, lighter, easier to deal with. Okay, so I am liking it. And I like the drawing experience, right? Okay, so hopefully that made sense what I'm saying. Try it. It solved me accidentally clicking, and it solved the rotation problem. It might. And the other thing is, I'm wondering if Wacom sells. Do they sell the customization bits separately? I'm not sure. Or I wonder if someone on eBay would be willing to sell just the, just a strip. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But it has, there's this weird thing, but it really, I like it. I'm using my pen that way. Right? And it's just an accidental thing that happened. Okay. Now, what do I need to do? I talked with the S11 Ultra. Yeah, Tuesday is when it's going to arrive. Okay. Let's go. The next topic then is probably the summary of the UD-EMR topic. Okay. It's not possible. You must buy a full Pro Pen 3 to get the kit. Yeah, maybe eBay. It seems, I hate that they do that. Okay, let me just update my notes to see. We covered the Samsung. Yeah, if you do get a chance to try it, I'm really curious how it works out for you. See, Ben Poikman says, now that I think about it, since I got the Intuos 2025, I feel like if there's an option for Cintiq 1624 without the pen for a cheaper price, it's probably better. Okay, makes sense. Okay, then the next thing will be, let's discuss the UD-EMR topic, okay? Let me, yeah. Oops. Oh. Hang on. X and V. Okay, summary of UD-EMR. Okay. This is maybe a good opportunity for me to try my whiteboarding. Okay, so we'll see. See if this works. Let me move this. Oh, that's actually the one I want. This is my Surface Pro 11? Oh, sorry, Surface 11 7 laptop. I forget. The one with the ARM processor, the Snapdragon. And I've decided to make it my PC companion streamer. Assuming that there aren't issues with ARM. So just give me a minute, let me set it up here. Because I'm going to use this as the whiteboard machine. Okay, and I think, in fact, yep, the mouse actually works. Fantastic. And okay, how do I get to Chrome? Okay, I need to plug in this thing don't I? Where is the cable? Here we go. Everything gets a little confusing with all the cables I have to deal with. This should work. Yeah, this is a Thunderbolt cable. There it is. Okay. Display ports up. top. And then I'll just plug this in to my Surface. So many wires. Yeah, I'm just doing this again just to get my and turn. I used to use PowerPoint all the time to do sort of rapid explanations, but it's just easier to whiteboard with the Microsoft Whiteboard app. It's much easier to handle these things. Let's see, let's get to Google Chrome and launch the Whiteboard app. There we go. And it wants me to sign in. That's so nice. Okay, it's working. Great, almost there. Let's see, and what I want is, I believe, this screen. Yeah, you're actually seeing almost the right thing. Let me try to slightly change this so you're seeing the correct thing. I want to extend. Yeah. Keep changes. Let me identify. I want to mirror 2 and 3. Okay. So extend. Yeah, this should be keep changes. Yeah, I think we got it all set up. Let me try making sure the pen is moving things correctly. Almost. Pen and Windows ink settings. Additional pen. Oh gosh, this isn't doing what I hoped. Let me try unplugging it and plugging it in. The the pointer is being moved, but it's being moved on a different monitor. So that's kind of irritating, to say the least. But I'm hoping just disconnecting it and putting it back will maybe trigger the right behavior. Let's see. No. Okay, I'm just gonna have to figure this one out. Give me a minute. It's gonna take. Fortunately, this problem happens every now and then with tablets that have touch, and I had it happen with the Huion. I don't think it's the tablet's fault, but the Huion Canvas Pro 19, I encountered this behavior where the pointer's on the wrong screen. And remember, there's no driver to configure this. So you have to change something in Windows. Canvas Pro. And I'm just looking up where that is. Display. Touch. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a little more searching to solve this problem. Canvas 19 touch. Adjust where Windows with touch monitor. Adjust where pointer goes. Wow. tablet PC settings. Let's see. Tablet PC settings. There is no tablet PC settings. Let's try finding the control panel. Okay. Configure pen and touch displays. Setup. Pen inputs. Tap the screen with your tablet pen to set it as the tablet PC screen. Okay, so I know you can't see this. Please enter. Okay. Oh, that was stupid. That didn't work either. I'll try one more time. If this doesn't work, I have another option. Sorry. I can make it work. Yeah, I got it. Yes. Okay. I have now remembered a little bit more of the problem. Sorry for the confusion. But it's good that it happened, actually, because it teaches me how to set this up. Wacom's drivers, I still think, are the most reliable, honestly. I know they get a lot of criticism for problems, but I have always found them very reliable, honestly. Okay, where's that whiteboard? Here we go. Ooh, whiteboard is here. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about the UDEMR pins, okay? And just to recap, so UDEMR is kind of like a consumer version of Wacom's EMR technology. Wacom, this is a Wacom standard, okay? And the way it's been explained to me is that there are 2 generations of UDEMR, okay? I don't know anything about the Gen 1, but people say and it's not like an official name as far as I can tell, but there are Gen 2 UDEMR pins, okay? And in the Gen 2, you get a whole bunch of pins that we're very familiar with, okay? Which is the Wacom. You get the CP913, that's the Wacom 1 pin, the older Wacom 1 pin. Then there's the CP923, and then there's the Samsung S pen, okay? And then you get, what's this one? Stettler Norris Digital. So it's SN Digital, right? And I think Lamy All-Star, a whole bunch of these, okay? So, I just want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these Gen 2 UDEMR pens, okay? And it's this set of pens. Now, so that's part 1. Part 2 is, let's suppose there's a tablet that works with one of these pens. Well, all these pens here use the same technology, so the tablet will work with these other pens. I guess the tablet can't tell the difference between these pens, okay? Okay, so there we go. So that's part 1 of the, what are we talking about? We're talking about these pens. Now, why are these pens interesting? I often get them, even with professional tablets, not because they're great pens. They're just, they're kind of okay, I guess. And some are definitely worse than others. They're interesting because they're cheap, okay? And, Pro Pen 3 is $130. And some tablets in Intuos Pro 2025 work with the Pro Pen 3 and these UDEMR Gen 2 pens. And so, someday you're going to lose your Pro Pen 3. And I just tell people, have one of these on standby, because for $30, $40, you can actually have an okay experience. Not great, but it'll be okay. And it might be a lifesaver, if you have a project deadline. Okay, so that's where we start off this discussion. Now, Remember I told you if a device is capable of working with one, it's capable of working with all the rest in the set, right? So the next thing that happens is we realize that we have I'll just say Intuos Pro 2025, okay? And they themselves said it'll work with CP913 and the Lamy and the Stettler Norris, okay? Hey Amir, glad you're joining us. Glad you're joining us. So they said this. By the way, they did not list the S Pen, okay? They did not list the Samsung S Pen. Now we have other devices. For example, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE. Now, what pen does it work with? They say it works with the S Pen. That's what it comes with. But remember, these are all the same tech. So actually, the S Pen will work with this, and these pens will work with that. Okay? Now, I don't know if they really encourage this, but it works. These pens are so simple, they can't like check the version information and filter pens out, apparently. They just all work, okay? Now, this is the next mystery. The big question, the question mark is not whether they work. We know they do. The question is there something different when you use the same pen on different tablets? Okay? So, the pens might be different, and the tablets might be doing something different. Let me give you the simple example, okay? Now let's start a new whiteboard for this. So this is, let's talk about a tablet and let's find out what works better. Okay. Let's see what Ben Bergman says. The Japanese art of "we will look into it" means we will never do. What's the context, Ben Bergman? I'm very curious. Okay, so this was like story number one, which is we have a Samsung Tab S, okay? And lots of people reported, let me undo that you can use both pens, the S Pen and the Wacom CP913. And I knew that myself, right? So both these pens will work. And we found a lot of people prefer to use the CP913. And I did a whole bunch of testing about that Friday night. And we discovered that the CP913 has a really low IAF with the Samsung tablet. Lower than the S Pen, number one. So this is okay, so that's interesting. But that's part one of the mystery. Part two of the mystery is we had the Move Ink, not the Move Ink pad, the Move Ink, okay? And we tried the same experiment, S Pen and the CP913. And what did we discover? So let me just make sure this is clear. This had a low, I was shocked how low the IF was. Because, and you'll see why I was shocked. With the Move Ink, not the Move Ink pad, the Move Ink, both have a high IAF. Okay, IAF. We're gonna watch a video about it, but it's gonna be a 10-minute video that I just made. But IAF is initial activation force, the smallest amount of physical pressure that the pen can detect. So you generally want a lower IAF because it means the pen is sensitive to really light pressure, okay? Wacom professional pens have very low IAF. Their consumer pens have higher IAF, okay? And we'll talk about all these topics. Now, so now we have an interesting mystery. The CP913, which is a consumer pen, works not great. It has a high IAF with the Move Ink,
but a low IAF with the Samsung. How can you explain this? Right? How can you explain this? I think we found the same thing with the S Pen. Actually, the S Pen actually has a lower IAF with the Samsung, right? And on top of that, so lower IAF with Samsung, right? IAF, okay. They have a lower IAF on the Samsung, higher IAF with the Wacom MoveInk, and in general, the CP913 is just better. It has a lower IAF than the S Pen in either case. So those are the two data points. Minimum input pressure, right? That's right. By the way, the MoveInk pad behaves the same as the Samsung tab. So this is the MoveInk pad. What we believe is this, and we did some testing. The firmware of the MoveInk and other Wacom tablets, when they detect you're using a UDMR pen, they nerf the pressure to force these pens to have a higher IAF. Okay? I'm not accusing them of doing anything which is illogical or unreasonable. I get it. You want to segment your pens and their experience. But this is what we discovered. The consequences of this are, number one, you should realize when you're judging these UDMR pens, you should really actually test them with a Samsung device or an Android device, because Wacom devices will, Wacom tablets will increase the IAF effectively. Okay, the moving pad doesn't, because probably Wacom can't control the firmware in the same way. Okay. Number two, if you're using a Samsung device, let me assure you, it came with an S Pen. Get the Wacom CP913 pen. It's much better. It has a much lower IAF. Okay? So I just want you to, that's what we discovered. Now, someone, we're going to do this later, not next. Someone in the Discord asked me to check, does the CP913 have such a low IAF that it competes with the IAF of the Pro Pen 3? And I said no. Pro Pen 3 has lower IAF still. But then they asked, what about the X3 Pro pen? And I go, well, I'll test that. Okay? So I'm going to test the CP913 on the Samsung and the X3 Pro on the Magic Drawing Pad, and we're going to see. Okay? We're going to see which one has. And I think the CP913 is actually going to feel pretty good. Right? It's going to be pretty good. Let's see. Mir says, anything above 500 gram, too much for me. I'm not used to PW600, but it's only when erasing and coloring I use non-pressure. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I use a non-pressure pen too. By the way, the dot brush you use on Krita, the ink fine liner, has a little size pressure turned on. Can you use basic? Mir, I usually I go into the settings and turn that off. Okay, but just in case, let's double check. Okay. Samsung S6 Lite, I believe it's either 10 or 11 inch. It's a little bit smaller than the S9 FE. It's a little bit smaller than 11 inch for sure. So I think 10 inch is probably right. Okay, so this is where our big discovery is, and let me just write them down in words. Okay, number one. CP913 has lower IAF than S Pen. That's fact number one, according to my research. Fact number two, actually I'll say all UD-EMR pens, that includes CP913, it includes the S Pen, etc., will have even lower IAF on a Android tablet. And a higher IF on a Wacom non-Android device. Okay. And in fact, I can test that. Give me a second. I'm going to test it right now because I have actually a non-Android, non-Wacom device. Okay. And I'm going to see if I find the same thing. So just give me a second. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. You may know that your tablet likely has about 8. My face on and off here. Face off. Okay. So I'm going to play the video. I'm going to look at chat and just see what happens. And this is everything but IAF. Okay. This is absolutely everything about IAF. Looks like the background music came on. I don't want that. Okay. So do I have everything? Let's change the... Okay, I'm gonna let it play right now. When we talk about drawing tablets, we often talk about initial activation force, or IAF. I actually muted the audio again. Let's try that again. When we talk about drawing tablets, we often talk about initial activation force, or IAF. IAF is the smallest amount of physical pressure that the pen can detect. You may know that your tablet likely has about 8,000 pressure levels. Pressure level 0 represents any physical force less than the IAF. And pressure level 1 begins at the IAF. Now you should keep this in mind. It is not the drawing tablet that detects pressure. It's actually the pen. The pen has special hardware to detect the force at the tip of the pen. In general, a lower IAF is always better. And the reason for this is simple. As the IAF grows larger, the drawing experience starts to get kind of unpleasant. There are three elements to what makes it unpleasant. First, you can tell that you're pressing down with some force. However, the pen is simply not drawing. And of course, this will be really irritating. Second, because you have to press down harder, it places more strain on your hand. And it can make your hand feel tired and worn out very easily. And third, when the IAF is really high, but you're trying to draw a very thin stroke with very light pressure, it's really hard to keep the pen right above the IAF. And this causes some weird things to happen with your strokes. Sometimes you start drawing. Okay, people are hearing an echo. Let me fix that. You weren't supposed to hear. And was it bad? It sounds like it was pretty bad. Yeah, give me a second. I know what's going on. I'm just going to do a little bit of live surgery on the audio configuration, and it shouldn't break anything. Give me just 1 second. Let me play. I'm going to play it again just to hear the echo, see how the echo is happening, okay? And the stroke will start drawing. That is wild, okay. Why does it do that? Live mix. Okay, I'm going to play again just to see what happens. A little bit later than you expected. Okay, I think I have a solution. Now. Okay. Famous last words. Yes, famous last words. Okay, I'm going to play it for a second just to hear if the echo is there or not. Because the initial part of your stroke was just under the IAF. At other times, you might see that. Okay, according to what I'm seeing, there shouldn't be any echo. Okay? There should not be any echo. So let me rewind, and then we're going to try that again. Okay, so I apologize for that. It was not clear to me what was happening, but I think I have solved the problem. Okay, here we go. Now I'm not getting any sound. That's brilliant. Okay, hang on. USB 1 chat. Hopefully. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? I thought it wasn't going to do that. Okay, hang on. Testing one more time. I love debugging audio problems in the middle of the stream, right? IAF is the smallest amount of... I think I got it now. I think I got it. Okay. Here we go. When we talk about drawing tablets, we often talk about initial activation force, or IAF. IAF is the smallest amount of physical pressure that the pen can detect. You may know that your tablet likely has about 8,000 pressure levels. Pressure level 0 represents any physical force less than the IAF, and pressure level 1 begins at the IAF. Now you should keep this in mind. It is not the drawing tablet that detects pressure, it's actually the pen. The pen has special hardware to detect the force at the tip of the pen. In general, a lower IAF is always better. And the reason for this is simple. As the IAF grows larger, the drawing experience starts to get kind of unpleasant. There are 3 elements to what makes it unpleasant. First, you can tell that you're pressing down with some force, however, the pen is simply not drawing. And of course, this will be really irritating. Second, because you have to press down harder, it places more strain on your hand, and it can make your hand feel tired and worn out very easily. And third, when the IAF is really high, but you're trying to draw a very thin stroke with very light pressure, it's really hard to keep the pen right above the IAF. And this causes some weird things to happen with your strokes. Sometimes you'll start drawing and the stroke will start drawing a little bit later than you expected, because the initial part of your stroke was just under the IAF. At other times, you might see that your stroke has gaps. It becomes interrupted. That's because momentarily your hand let up on the pen and the pressure dipped under the IAF. So for these reasons, a lower IAF is better. Can the initial activation force be too low? Yes, the IAF can be too low, and some weird artifacts can happen. However, the good news is we can fix this with pressure curves. Pressure curves allow us to process the pressure data and effectively artificially increase the IAF, even though we're not changing the pen hardware in any way. And I will make a separate video about that topic, but here's how you make a pressure curve increase the IAF. You just move the lower left part of the pressure curve a little bit over to the right. How much you have to move that over depends on the specific pen. You might see that a tablet brand publishes specific numbers for their pen's IAF. Can we trust these values? Well, overall, yes, we can. In my testing, I have found that the published IAF values are accurate. Here's an example of one pen, the SenseLabs V2 pens, and they are advertised as having a 3-gram force IAF. Here are the lowest physical pressures that I measured with 6 of these pens. And they're all close to the initial activation force. Only one of them is slightly higher. One of them is exactly the initial activation force that is published, and the other 4 are lower. And it's okay if the IAF is a little bit lower, because, like I said earlier, we can use pressure curves to artificially increase it. Now, yes, sometimes you will encounter pens that have an IAF that is wildly different from what is published. And I consider these pens somewhat defective in that sense. But how much it's really going to affect you depends on how much they diverge from the published number and your own preferences and how you draw. Now, if the IAF is lower than what is published, that's a happy accident, because we can use pressure curves to artificially increase the IAF. So this isn't a problem. But what if the IAF is higher than normal? While pressure curves can artificially increase the IAF, unfortunately, they cannot decrease the IAF. You are limited by the pen's hardware itself. So ultimately, if you find that your pen is forcing you to press down harder than you expect, you're going to need to contact customer support. And maybe you need to get a replacement pen. Now let's get to the heart of this discussion. We need to rank IAF values. Because right now, we're not sure what bad means, what is acceptable, and what can we expect when we buy a new drawing tablet. This is a scale that represents the physical pressure range of a pen. It starts at 0 gram force and increases as we go to the right. An excellent IAF falls between 0 and 1 gram force. As of September 2025, the only drawing tablet pens I know of that are consistently in the excellent range are the Wacom professional pens. They have an IAF of less than 1 gram force. So here I'm talking about pens like the Wacom Pro Pen 2 and the Pro Pen 3. But there are lots of other Wacom professional pens that are in this range. In fact, some Wacom consumer pens, but not all, also fall in the excellent range for IAF. And definitely this is the aspirational goal. I would love it if in the future all drawing tablet pens had an excellent IAF. Now, I don't think everyone needs to have a pen with an excellent IAF. I certainly don't. Having said that, for example, if you've spent a lot of time drawing with Wacom professional pens, and then you get a pen that has a higher IAF, you're going to be irritated. So in that case, you may want to stick with Wacom professional pens, because right now, they are the only pens that give you this really low IAF. A great IAF falls between 1 and 2 gram force. The only pens I know of today that are in this category are the Huion PW600 series, which Huion says has a 2 gram force IAF. I've mentioned many times that I love using these PW600 series pens, and they're the best non-Wacom pens to exist as of September 2025. Between 2 and 3.5 gram force is a good IAF. Modern non-Wacom pens, especially ones that use the latest pen technology, typically fall into this range because they have an initial activation force of 3 gram force. And most people, I think, will be satisfied with pens that have an IAF in this range. I draw with such pens all the time, and I'm very happy with it. I have no complaints. Do I notice the slightly higher IAF? Yes, but with how I draw, I'm totally fine with it. But definitely some people will want something with a lower IAF. The OK category falls between 3.5 and 5 gram force. This is the range really for consumer pens. I don't really enjoy drawing with a pen in this range. I definitely notice that I have to press down harder to make a stroke with these kinds of pens. Some people might be okay with this, but I think most will want a lower IAF. The people that might be okay with it are maybe people who aren't really drawing, like maybe they're using the tablet for whiteboarding or marking up documents or digital signatures. If you're drawing, I think this is a little too high. Over 5 gram force, the IAF is not great. I think it's unpleasant for the vast majority of people, and I would recommend that you avoid such pens. This ranking of IAF is my ranking. It captures my experience and some feedback from other tablet enthusiasts. However, I am sure some people watching this will disagree with my categorization and where I draw the boundaries between the ranks. And that is okay. The point of this video is not for me to assert, here's how it is. The point is, I want you to use this as food for thought, and hopefully you'll do your own experiments and measurements and talk to others in the community. Success for me is absolutely not that the community of tablet users adopt my ranking. Instead, I would love to just see the community develop a rough consensus about what they think is good or bad for IAF. And if that happens to be quite different from what I've shown here, I will still be extremely happy because I will have succeeded in my mission. There's one myth or misunderstanding that I want to talk about right now, and that's about pressure levels in IAF. I've seen people say that more pressure levels will enable the pen to detect lower pressure. That is absolutely wrong. Pressure levels have nothing to do with IAF. If you want a pen that can detect lighter strokes, you have to just get a pen with lower IAF. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay. What did you think about that? What did you think? And do you have feedback? I'm looking through now the comments. Let's see what people are saying. I think most tablets, apart from Wacom Apple Pencil and Huion, have... Yeah, I think that's about right, Hanem. I think that's about right. It has two? You mean the PW600? That says, do you think the IAF discrepancy is due to firmware, or could it be actually due to hardware technology in the tablet device that registers? I don't think, I mean, okay, let's just, we know that, we believe strongly that in some cases there's a deliberate firmware change to increase the IAF. I mean, that's what we believe for the UDMR pens. That's a very special situation. So let's forget about that. That's an exception to the rule. I think variability in IAF is due to, I think, just manufacturing issues. Not issues, more like the natural variation you expect in any manufacturing process, okay? I don't think it's due to the firmware. I think it has to deal with the quality of the piezoelectric pressure sensor in pens. It has to maybe deal with the quality of the parts in some way. Maybe how much electronic interference they're shielded from or not shielded from. But I think those are the things that might be driving higher IAF, right? It's a thing we're not totally sure of. We're just not totally sure. But I do believe it's not due to the firmware. Let's see. Yeah, so I felt good about the video. I'm sorry it blacked out between segments. That was just an unfortunate. I forgot to change that when I was working on the video. I'll fix that so that it doesn't look so weird. It'll just go from one slide to the next, right? Oh, Vets was saying I was more referring to the UDMR mixing amongst tablets. Yeah, I think those changes in IAF for UDMR, that is due to, so some amount of variability is just due to the hardware of the pens, but we definitely see that the firmware, I believe, is causing it, right? When you use UDMR pens with Wacom devices. And this solves a mystery that I've had in my head for a couple of years, which is I always felt it odd that I hated drawing on the Wacom One with the CP913 and 923. I hated it because I could just feel, but I never complained when I was drawing on the Samsung S, the Tab S9. I never pieced it together. I thought maybe what I was feeling was the difference in the nib or something, because the Samsung S Pen has like a rubber nib. But then I came to realize, no, it's not. It's actually the Samsung S Pen, the Samsung devices, and I guess Android devices in general, don't have this don't limit the behavior of these UDMR pens, right? So that's my theory. And if for anyone in the chat, just say if you think the video was good to publish or not, meaning that you're happy with it. I'll do a few updates, but I just want to get kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down signal, right? What makes us think it's firmware and not hardware in the tablet device themselves? Okay, good question. Really, really good question. Here's why I think it's firmware, okay? I should have mentioned this earlier. So there's two possibilities about, there's just three levels of things that can cause IAF. One's the hardware of the pen, okay? Like the CP913, I think, just has a lower IAF in general. It's more sensitive than the Samsung S Pen. Then what's left over is the firmware or the tablet driver. And I did a test Friday night to determine this. So, veggie, okay, if I cut out the black parts, it'll be okay? Okay, good. So I tested the MoveInk with just a random computer I had, okay? And with the Wacom driver, okay? And what did I see? I saw a high IAF, okay? So what's involved there? The Wacom driver and the Wacom firmware. And then I tried the same MoveInk with the same pen, and with a computer using Open Tablet driver, not the Wacom driver. And I got the same result. In other words, I removed the variable of the tablet driver and I switched to a tablet driver where we know what it's doing. It's not doing it's not doing anything. It's just taking the data and sending it. So based on that experiment, we think the firmware of the MoveInk and other Wacom tablets is detecting that it's a CP913 pen, and it's changing the how the pressure works. If I had to say it out loud in pseudocode, it's as if the firmware has the following logic. If pen is UDEMR, then output pressure equals, if input pressure is less than 200, then output pressure equals 0, return output pressure, okay? Else return output pressure. I know that's it's probably not easy to visualize that if I just said it out loud, but basically it's zeroing out the lower part of pressure. And that's just my nearest guess, right? And the reason I say that is it also explains another weird phenomena that we saw, which is these UDMR pens, when you draw as light as possible, notice that what's the right word? If you draw a light stroke, the stroke will be thicker than you'd expect. And so I think what's happening is it's because of how those pressure numbers are being zeroed out. So for example, they're just zeroing out everything from 1 to 199. And so 200 is the first pressure value getting, not 1. And that's why I think we're seeing this. That's my theory, anyway. Right. Okay, let's see. Vet says, I'd like to see the pen torn down and what allows the tablet to identify it's a Wacom pen or not. So we do know, because it's in the Wacom driver, we know that Wacom professional pens have a serial number, right? At least the models have a serial number. Okay, not the individual. We don't know about the individual pens, but Wacom can tell the difference between a Pro Pen 2 and a Pro Pen 3. They can have different settings for them, right? They seem, as far as I can tell, they don't have the ability to detect a specific. They can differentiate between two different Pro Pen 2s. Okay. Now the UDMR pens, if I recall the last time I checked, they also have a serial number, but all UDMR pens seem to have the same serial number. That's at least what I saw when I tested it. I may have made a mistake in my examination. So there is something getting returned back, right? It is a serial number or something, but it's common to all UDMR pens. So that's how they're telling. So Hanem raises an interesting point. We know that the Pro Pen has some electronics, some real hardware, but we don't think the UDMR pens has any hardware. It seems like the UDEMR pens are these kind of older EMR pens, okay? Like they're just more analog. Would make sense, they're just cheaper to build, right? They're still decent, but they're just older and analog. So this construction of a serial number for them may be something that the firmware is doing, because I don't see how an analog device would send a firmware number encoded in the signal. You need like electronics for that, right? Anyway, these are all just interesting theories. I think those of you know there's a Discord server called Project Patchouli for the Project Patchouli project. And the guy who runs that server is Yuki Dama. He's building an open source tablet. He's already built the tablet. He actually built the PCB for the tablet, and it works with a Huion pen, and it works with the Open Tablet driver. I've seen it. He's got a video on YouTube. And this is the closest we've ever come to having a real tablet open source tablet built. And now he's working on building his own pen, okay? And if you look through Yukidama's Project Patchouli docs, you'll notice that he is really analyzing a lot of pens and how they communicate, right? And ultimately, I think we should, we need to ask him, because he has done the deep research into like the signals that are flowing between the pen and the tablet. Whereas that's not my specialty. I don't know electronics like that. That says, it sounds like it's time to tear UDMR pen apart and find out if there's anything in the hardware that could tell the tablet what kind of pen it is or not, in order for the firmware to change things. Since we're on the topic, let's try to find a teardown picture, okay, or a video maybe on YouTube, and see if someone has done this and has taken a look at what's inside these pens. So give me a second, and let me just, this thing fell asleep. And let me turn off the playthrough for a second, because I don't want this thing going. Let's see. Okay, you should still be able to hear me, but here, let's find, what am I looking for? I'm looking for Wacom 1 pen teardown CP913. Images. I know I've seen people. Okay, let's take a look. So this seems, it says Wacom 1. I'm trying to click on this thing. I guess I turned off touch, so I actually have to click with the mouse. Okay. You gotta love that music, by the way. Okay, there's the nib. That was the purpose of the video, removing the nib. Okay, so we do see, actually, a couple of interesting things here. Let me scroll back. I just want to see the pen to make sure it was actually a Wacom 1 pen. It says Wacom 1, but sometimes people get the wrong pen. So we saw a PCB just a second ago. Right there. Right? I believe, is that a PCB? I believe it is. Right? So there's something there. Don't know what is in there. Right? But there's some PCB there. Let's see if we can find any other evidence. Disassembling a Wacom. No, that's an LP pen. That's a bamboo pen. Couple of disassemblies here. Let's see if this tells us anything. Not a Wacom 1 pen. This looks more like a more complicated thing. See, Vet says, I would need to analyze that circuit board to tell if it's just for the buttons or if it communicates the model to the tab. I'll check Yuki Dama's docs if he has anything on it as well. Let's see if there's any more videos. I've seen this video. She's not looking at the actual Wacom One pen. Anyway, yeah, I'll do a little bit more. Hey, Edbot, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, it's I just played a video that I'm going to publish tomorrow about IAF, Edbot. So we did a little watch party on that. And then we have still a lot of things to talk about, actually. I'm going to demo some tools I built to analyze pens. We're going to recap the key elements of the XP Pen Ultra. And I got a comment from Reddit about it, so we're going to take a look at that comment. We'll do an experiment with the IAF of the CP913 on the Samsung and compare that to the IAF of the XP Pen X3 Pro on a tablet. And then we're going to talk a little bit about cable adapters and extenders. I had some questions about it. Rebel 8 update. We're going to see if the performance actually got better. We'll see. Actually, let me save that one because I don't have my normal Rebel machine here. Okay, and this is an ARM machine as well, so I'm not sure how well it's going to work. We'll take a look at the Magma updates for the September and August, right? Actually, we'll just take a look at them now, right? Let's see. Vet says, I'm curious if Wacom actually nerf other pens or if a difference in hardware. Yeah, that it could be. It could be hardware. It could be both at the same time as well, right? If it's artificial, maybe enough noise about it could be good for consumers. Yeah, getting a little bit of like, I think, and I talked about this on Friday, Wacom's in a tough position because unlike, okay, how can I say this? Wacom has a consumer line which they try to clearly differentiate from their Pro line. And if you could use the consumer pens with the Pro tablets and have just as good experience, that will affect their business, right? Huion and the XP Pen don't have quite the similar issue because like their consumer lines, at least spec-wise, are pretty good. They're better than spec-wise, better than the consumer lines of Wacom. And their Pro line strategy is not about better drawing. It seems to be more about like more features like etched glass or touch or that kind of thing, right? Mir, you sent that link to me in Discord, right? I'll check it out. I think I saw it, but I'm not sure if I actually looked through it. Okay, let's go take a quick look at the Magma updates. Magma. Okay, hang on a second. I gotta get to the right OneNote. Remember, I keep show notes for everything, so it's easy for me to talk about what we're gonna see, etc., etc. So these are my show notes for today. Let's start with I think this is the August update. I'm curious, Vets. The thing is that they've updated so many tablets. They updated the Cintiq Pro in 2022, which is recent for them. And they just updated, obviously, Intuos Pro. So I'm not expecting a new Pro stuff coming from Wacom. But if they do, I'd be obviously very happy. But I just don't expect it. Okay, what was the August update here? Pressure curve and paid art jams. Welcome to our second update for August. We got a couple of things in art jams. Okay, custom pressure curve. Oh, they didn't have that before. Some other bug fixes. I'm gonna take a look at it actually. Give me a second. I'm curious. Magma. Oops, typing in the wrong keyboard, aren't I? Magma. Let me move this keyboard out of the way because I see it and I'm tempted to type on. Okay. Magma. Did they say that? I guess I missed it. Okay, interesting. Look, I am happy for more models. Let me tell you. I definitely want to see them. Okay, hang on. I get to Magma. Start drawing. Let me log in here. Mir, can you resend it, please? Thank you. Okay, and you know what I'm going to do? I promised this last time, but I didn't actually end up doing it. Okay, I am going to allow follow to see and join you on the canvas. Okay, hang on. I'm going to do something a little wild here. Okay. I'm getting on the live stream. Okay, I am going on the my other computer here, and I'm just going to paste Magma shared canvas. Did I copy that? Oh, let's try that again. Copy link. And okay. I have just pasted into the YouTube chat a link that anyone who's watching can use to draw in Magma. Okay? If you guys want to doodle as we're talking. Okay? And then Mir says, Mir has sent in the live stream chat a link. Did I miss it, Mir? In the live stream. Oh, in the Discord live stream chat, I think you mean. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I see it. Let's take a look. Okay. Let me stop the music temporarily. Sound effects mute. Okay, and let's just take a look at this. So these are on-camera brush editor. If there's a way to enlarge this, I better do it. Yeah, let's try this. There we go. Let me replay it because I couldn't even understand what I was saying. Okay, you click there. I'm not very familiar with Krita UI, to be honest, so I'm still trying to understand. Configure pop-up palette dockers. It's coming on version 5.3.0. Let's take a look here. Oh, I'm not showing. Oh, I'm so silly. Hang on. I didn't realize I wasn't showing it. My apologies. Okay, now. Is that it? No. This? Yeah, here we go. Okay, now everyone can see what's going on. My apologies. Okay. Canvas brush editor. I don't know what this box here is called. The The pop wasn't customization. The pop wasn't customization. Like I so rarely interact with that pop-up. The truth is that I use Krita for testing, but I don't really draw with it. So this, if I'm understanding the video here, Mir, this is the pop-up palette. Okay, you confirmed that, and this lets me not have all my UI up, around, all the Chrome up around my screen. I can just bring this up from the pop-up, and so I'm kind of drawing with a clean space. That could be useful. I can definitely try to check that out. Okay, and there was another video you sent. Let's take a look. This one, okay. This time okay. Filling, spread, and close gap. Let's see. I could be very happy about this. Okay, close gap is 0. But now it's 15. Yeah, that's useful. That's very useful. That's very useful. Yeah, I like that. I just wish Krita had vector layers like XP Pen has vector layers. Then I'd be really happy. Magma Link doesn't work? Does it work for anybody? Hang on. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I think. Can you try the link again? I'm going to double check. I think that should fix it. I made a setting change. And I'll just go ahead and paste the. I see people now, so I think it is working. Okay. I'll show you what I see, so it's not mysterious. It's a 4,000 by 4,000 canvas, so you've got space to party. How's that? Right? I see at least 3 of you are here. Maybe one of them is me, I'm not sure. Right? Working now? Yes. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay. So while people draw, it works for me, but I need to. Oh, got it. It won't just draw anonymously. Got it. Okay. That just makes me realize, though. I was whiteboarding in front of you. Maybe I can use this as another way of whiteboarding, right? Mir Krita has vector layers, but they're not like how Clip Studio Paint does it. Clip Studio Paint has a very different way of working with vectors. Okay, so yeah, is there a vector in Krita? Yeah, but it's more like seems like it's intended for importing vector art, versus with Clip Studio Paint, you can really draw with most of the same brushes on the vector layer, and it has vector eraser tools and all sorts of like wild things. Right? Another link. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, good. So you think you brought up vector layers. Let's take a look. What is a vector layer? A vector layer is also known as a shape layer, contain vector elements creating. Okay, so you can make geometric shapes. Yeah, they're just doing like Illustrator type vector layers. Let me show you shoot, I don't have Clip Studio Paint. Do I have it installed here? I don't. Oh, or maybe I do. Let's take a look. I don't. Clip Studio Paint has a very... Oh, you can't see the screen? Okay. Oh, shit. I'm so awful about this. So this is what you sent me. And what I see here is they're just doing a basic vector layer where you can put shapes there and edit geometric shapes. Clip Studio Paint lets you actually paint in vectors. And it has all sorts of like things you can do to the vectors, like make the strokes thicker or thinner by painting, not by editing the nodes. You can erase up to intersections, and you can use the vector layer as a reference, and you can control how deeply a fill in the layer below will go into the vector. It's wild stuff. I actually made a video. I'm going to share the video actually. It's unlisted. I made it back in October of last year. I meant to just update it, but it is it's a tutorial for people about vector layers in Clip Studio Paint, and maybe you will find that interesting. Let me go ahead and paste it into chat. My draft vector layer tutorial. Let me paste it in there. Okay. Okay, so where was I? I wanted to show you all. Oh, there's also September updates for Magma. That was the other. Yeah. Let's close this and find where my OneNote is again. Vector layers is the reason I haven't abandoned CSP, Edbot says. Edbot, the way you say that makes me think that there's something that makes you want to leave CSP. So I'm curious what that is also. Mir says you can request it on Krita Artist website. I should do that. I need to take a quick break just for a minute or two, and I'll be right back, okay? Okay, I am back. I just had to get a little bit of water and a quick snack. Okay, Mir asks, does Seven know? There's two Krita websites. You're talking about KritaArtist.org. I have logged into that. I do have an account there. And I've been meaning to actually ask Hala Remt a question about pressure support in Krita, but I've forgotten to do that. Okay, let's take a look at this link that Mir has sent us. Okay. It is right here, I believe. More vector support is the name of the link. Let's see, what has been asked for? Drawing accountability channel. Drawing accountability channel. What is that? What is that? Is that the man, is that on my Discord? I don't know sometimes. Okay, let's get back here and then we can talk about that one. Okay, this was 19 days ago. Vector art mirroring. Yeah. Automated curve points. Sure. Ability to display brushes along vector path. I think I understand what that means. I think. You can find my drawings there, by the way. Okay, I'll take a look. Stabilizer for freehand path. Animation support for vector layers. Include Bezier curve tools, nodes, and history. Sometimes the work is gone. It makes sense, all the asks, right? It looks like all these already have feature requests. Look, I just want them to do what Clip Studio Paint does, and I'll be happy, to be quite honest. How come I feel like I'm insane, Mira. I feel like I don't, accountability? In daily, oh, okay, daily, okay, got it. It's in the art showcase as a thread. I forgot this existed. Let's take a look. Good job here, Mayor. I like it. You got the form quite nicely done there. Okay, good. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Okay, let me get, I want to get back to the Magma. So we talked about the August updates. Can we get to September? Because that's definitely something I wanted to see if there's anything interesting. September updates. A new homepage with public gallery. Let me get a pen here. Any feature updates, bug fixes? Just some bug. Okay, so it sounds like it's more about this gallery than anything really about the painting part of Magma. But yeah, what I was saying is I may try Magma as a way of me whiteboarding with you, where you can ask questions by drawing on the drawing, okay? That may be a way for us to communicate in a very interactive way. Okay, what else do we have here? Samsung. Oh, XP Pen Ultra. Let's talk about it. I created like a placeholder page on my docs site. So let's just go ahead and just get there and talk about what we know so far. And that is match aspect ratios. Ultra. Let's type in the word ultra. And I'll just show you what I'm doing so it's not, mysterious. Okay. So let's just go to the creative block blog post, right? And see what it is that was okay. So the key points are OLED display, right? And just gonna quickly find it, and we're gonna look at the Reddit comments here. 16K pressure level. I always tell you, you should just ignore pressure level discussion like this. Comes with 2 pens. That's awesome. Love that. They talk about Kalman verified, and I'm going to pause on that and just say the Reddit comment makes a statement about this. Remember, I'm not into color, so I don't know. Box looks nice. I always like seeing artwork. Hopefully they have credited the artist. They have tended to do that in the box work. 1 millisecond response time, which is, I think, good. Doesn't have legs, but comes with a stand. Fanless, which is typical. Still got to see the heat. Okay, now let's go to the Reddit thread. Let's see, where is Reddit? Social, Reddit. It's on XP Pen, I believe. Yep. Oh, okay. Let me just get my login. Hang on, because I haven't been here, have I? Let's log in. No thanks. Yeah, log in. Do I have a message for anyone? Okay. So, yeah, I'm in. Let's take a look. So it's in the community highlights. So I'll click there, and then maybe it was in Drawing Tablet because I did a post there. Someone posted. Okay, hang on a second. I gotta figure out how to get the email that someone showed me. Where is the email? I heard a beep from some thing. Let me try Gmail. Someone had a long comment. Someone complained about the bezels. They wanted thinner bezels. But I'm looking for a much bigger... I found it. Okay, this, just ethically, I will never share an email that was private between me and somebody, okay? So I'm not going to share this person's name or email. I'm just going to summarize what the email is about, okay? So I got an email about the artist, the XP Pen Artist Ultra 16. Wait, don't you, Vets, isn't that what it's letting you do now with the link I sent? Because people did that in one of my previous streams. They all drew on the same canvas. So they watched my stream and they made some comments, okay? I mean, they sent an email to me, which I was very grateful for. And they took the time. It's a long email. So the first thing they mentioned, and remember, so far the only knowledge we have about this tablet is that Creative Block blog post. There's no announcement on XP Pen's Twitter or their website. We just have that blog post that says at the end of September, XP Pen's going to announce it. So we don't know. There could be theoretically errors in the blog post because of confusion or something. So one of the comments here was in the email that was sent to me, that it's questionable if this actually has an OLED display or CalMon verification because of its price point and lack of color mode selection. So this person seems like they know more about displays and color, so it looks like they're questioning the ability for XP Pen to deliver something at this price point. I think the price point was like $800. Okay. Oh, separate layers. I get it. Yeah, that would be the right thing to do. That's they also point out that the XP Pen Artist Ultra has a touchscreen that works well on Mac. And he's referring to someone. I gotta figure out who he's referring to here. It looks like they forwarded a mail from somebody else, so that's why they've got two names to deal with. Okay. This mail also says, just as a note, that the SenseLabs 24 Plus only has CalMon Ready technology, not CalMon verification. Right? So it looks like there's some questions still about how this is working. Another thing that's brought up is that it looks like the driver has been updated to have some new on-screen hotkeys, like Huion's added to their drivers. That'll be interesting. Some people really like those. Okay, interesting. So I'll keep an eye out for this. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it, and let me tell you why. First of all, I have a lot of 16-inch tablets. I really don't need another one, okay? And there's nothing for me that's spectacularly compelling about it. I'm not into all this color. I like bigger pen displays. 16 inches is a little bit small for me, all right? Number two, the pens aren't any different. It's still the same old X3 Pro pens, right? So I have no doubt things are going to be useful for people and better. It's got touch. I guess the color is better, but I'm not planning to get it. I'm not averse to getting it, but nothing there screams like, oh, I have to have it, either because I need it or either because there's a lot of curiosity that people need me to specifically test. I think there's nothing I could do with that tablet if I get it that would bring you more interesting information. I think you'll find everything you need to know from what I've already done with the X3 Pro Pen testing. And I think you'll discover everything else with reviews from Brad, Kobo, and Tio, okay? So I'm not planning on getting the Ultra 16. Now, if there's an Ultra 22 or an Ultra 20, something larger, I will actually think about getting it. I will. I am interested in seeing what they have to offer. But the 16, I'm not planning on it. I'm not planning on it. Let me check. I'll draw something, and let's see if that. I can see other people. Okay, I'll draw something. Let's just see. I think people logged in. Can I draw? Oh, I'm drawing with the wrong down. I'm drawing with a Stettler Norris, and I'm trying to draw on the my Surface laptop, which of course is not going to work. It is not going to work. Let me zoom in. Where's my zoom? I think that's it. Right? And if I'm, yeah, there we go. Let's zoom in a little bit more. You know what I'm going to draw, right? Everyone knows what I draw every time. Here, I'll just I'll project the screen so no one's no one's really wondering what's going on here. I'm getting pretty good at remembering how to draw this guy. I think I made the mouth a little too big, but that's okay. There we go. You have a little Apu or Pepe, whichever one this is. Okay. Yeah, I someone accused me of that recently, actually, Mir, which is always funny because like I do mention it all the time, but I have never made a video about it, and I've never really, I thought, made a glowing sort of post on Reddit about the toolbox. I love it. I mean, I do love it, but I'm surprised people would pick that. Right? If I could understand if someone accused me of I have a pro Wacom bias or a pro Huion bias since I love the Pentec 4.0 pens. But for people to pick the Toolbox as the thing on the shelf for is just like so strange. But I do love my Toolbox. Let's make sure everyone knows that. Better, yeah, Mir, you hit it. You hit it right there. Those are the two things that people don't need me for, okay? I've talked about these topics endlessly, and if Tio and Brad both say the parallax is good and the diagonal wobble is fixed, which is my biggest concern, right? That's the thing XP Pen's digitizers have struggled with for a couple of years now, and it doesn't affect everybody because not everyone notices the problem. It's a very subtle thing. It's only noticeable in certain circumstances, but I notice it, and it just, it just bothers me more than it hurts my ability to draw on those tablets. But it does irritate me to see it. So, if they solve those two problems, the diagonal wobble and the parallax, then we're fine. Oh, sorry, tilt compensation. Tilt compensation with XP Pen has been a little hit and miss, right? It's never awful, but it's not consistently good either, right? It's just good sometimes in some directions. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes it's off. If they can just nail those basics, then I'm fine, right? I'm just fine. Interesting fauna there, yes. Good way. I think people on Reddit like me. It's just that I think the way I communicate maybe. I'm very clear when I like something, and I'm very clear when I don't like something. And sometimes people take that, and because I also post a lot. I answer a lot of comments. I am in the top 1% of commenters on Reddit. And I know there are people that comment probably way more than I do, but I comment a lot. And I comment often on the same topics, which is what should I get for a beginner tablet? And I'll always give the same answer. One by Wacom Medium CTL672. And so people may see that when they're searching for something and they're like, oh, this guy just posts the same thing over and over. Oh yeah, another thing that bothers some people is I post links back to my website where I've written things down. And I don't copy and paste the text and paste it into the comment. I do that for two reasons. Number one, we don't know what's going to happen to Reddit. People could leave there tomorrow, right? The admin, the mod of a subreddit that I post to could lock the subreddit. And so people can't see. All sorts of things can happen. And I'm protecting myself against that. I'm protecting people, I should say. I'm not harmed if it happens. People who need the resources are harmed. And the second reason is, if I copy and paste all my answers, which are long, everywhere, whenever I learn something new or have to update something to add a link or fix an error, I have to find a million places where I pasted these answers and I have to fix each one. So that's why I almost always say something brief like, oh, that tablet I didn't like, you can find my notes here. That's it, right? Yeah, I don't blame people. Look, the truth is I don't know what's going to happen to Reddit. Okay? All social media sites like Reddit have their ascension and their, collapse. Right now Reddit seems just as strong as ever, but at some point they're going to try to monetize it in more interesting ways, and people are they're either going to like it or they're going to leave. Okay? And there's no other place right now for a lot of people. You can't have the kind of conversations you need on X, Twitter, or Blue Sky. Dig is relaunching. When, we don't know, but maybe this year. Dig might be the new home for people. Right now, what I am seeing is a lot of people are using Discord. When I created the drawing tab of Discord, I didn't expect that people would use it. I thought I'd be checking the Discord once every couple of days to see if anybody needed help. It turns out I spent most of my life on Discord, right? So maybe the future is we're all going to be living in a very large Discord server, right? I will say, I think that the drawing tablet Discord server, which I started just, a year and 4 months ago, is doing very well. Like, I'm not saying it's the biggest Discord server in the world, but like, those of you who are on it know how active it is, right? It's like 24/7 a day of tablet talking, and I'm proud of that, right? And I think we're a well-behaved set of individuals, and we're very welcoming, and people come there and they have fun, and they don't feel like they're being attacked or under stress or whatever. So I like the chill part of our drawing tablet server, right? And a large part of that is actually the mods, like, because Mihao Patrick and Koyo, if Koyo wasn't around, that Discord server would not work. He shared all his knowledge about, he runs or has run other Discord servers, and all that knowledge he has been put into how we organize things and the rules and how we communicate, and like, he's very proactive in being a mod, and like, I just wouldn't survive without these people, right? Sorry, I went on a rant there, but I'm just so proud of what a little community we built. Now, I don't know if it gets large, what'll happen. That'll be interesting. I kind of like the size that it is. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, I want to show you my new tool. Yeah. Okay, hang on. I gotta figure out how to do it. How do I want to do this? Let me just see what happens when I click this button. Okay, this actually does a somewhat correct thing. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I've got to oh, sorry. I'm gonna get this key fell off my keyboard. I've got to get GitHub Desktop. Is it not installed? Oh, come on. I'm gonna have to log into it. Oh no, I don't have to log into it. I just have to get into GitHub. Yeah, here we go. No, I need to clone and do things, I think. We'll see. See what happens. Let me log in and I'll start showing you things, okay? I want to sign in. 7 pens, sign in. Excellent. Okay. And then I have pressure. Hey, Tablet Kitten, how's it going? Where are my pressure response data? Pen pressure data. Here we go. Okay, let me download it. I'll download a zip. And let's just open it up in Finder and unzip it. Sorry, no, I'm not showing it to you yet because all you're going to see is me clicking around, but we'll get there. Don't worry. Don't worry. What is my pen pressure response? I think it's viewer. Yeah, the viewer. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Download zip. Okay. And unzip it. Okay. Okay. We got it. We got it. Okay. You're about to see something, okay? Just give me a second. Here we go. You should be seeing a really lame looking web page. Just garbage looking. That's okay. And what we're going to do, what this tool does is going to look great. Okay. So you're seeing a bunch of things, and then I'm going to open up a Finder window. Let me find the right folder. It's under Downloads, Pressure Data. Okay. So when I measure pens, I have a bunch of folders, right? You see these folders here? Samsung, Huion, and I keep it all here. And I'm going to drag them off. You'll see them sort of come on a little bit. As I drag, you'll see them appear. I'm going to go over to one of these folders here, like Wacom, and go to ACP 500, okay? And let me sort by kind. I want all the JSON files, okay? So these represent my recordings of measurements. Now watch this. I'm going to paste all these JSONs up here. And look, it graphs the pressure response curves for these pens. These code names WAP003T are my inventory numbers, okay? So that's what this means. And then below the table are the data. So it has the lowest physical pressure I measured, the highest physical pressure I measured. It has the data I took the measurements. Then it has this P25, P50, and P75. What this means is, it's going to take a little bit of time to explain. So the question is, for this pen, what physical pressure, meaning on the x-axis, will give me a logical pressure of x? What physical pressure of x gives me a logical pressure of y, right? Where y is 25. So for this first pen, WAP at 003, I'll have to press with 25 gram force to get to, coincidentally, 25% pressure. Okay? Logical pressure. 25 gram force is not a lot. Okay? It's not a lot. But these pens get to 25% logical between 22 to 35, right? That's how sensitive they are at the early part. To get to 50, I have to press about 100 gram force for most of these pens, which I think is decent actually, right? So look at this, 100, I get to 100 here, right? 100 here will get to 50. But I'd have to press with about 600 to 700 more gram force to get to, 100. Or, another 130 to get to 75. So this is to help me give a sense of where the pens are on this curve. And I want to be able to do like P25, saying if a pen has a P25, that's 25, it'll be relatively easy to control at low pressure. But let's take a look at a pen that might be difficult to control. Maybe. I haven't looked at all the data. So let's get back to, this is where you'll start seeing the power, okay? So I'm going to find some other pens. I'm going to compare these pens to pens that are not as good. Wacom CP913. Okay, let's do it. I'm going to drag it in there. And now both sets of curves are there. I'll show you the Pro Pen 3 in just a second. Now look what happens here. Since it's confusing because everything has a different color, I can tell it color by pen model. So now Pro Pen 3 is red, CP913 is blue. Okay? You see how that works? It's pretty cool, right? And I can do it by brand as well. All of these are Wacom, so they're all red. Okay, so go back to pen model. Now let's try to answer Vet's question, where does Pro Pen 3 fall into this, right? Guess what? I have that data. Back here, oh, this is Pro Pen 3. You want Pro Pen 2, is that what you meant? I hope that's what you meant. Because that's KP504E, and I'll multi-select it and drag it over into the drop zone. Now you'll notice one of these is wild, right? It's like over 1,000. That has a really weird high pressure. So I'm gonna get rid of it. I think I know which one it is. Yeah, it's almost 3,500. So I'll just tell it to hide that one, right? And I can hide that. So Pro Pen 2 and Pro Pen 3, Pro Pen 2 actually has a little bit of a higher maximum pressure. But overall, its behavior is very similar to the Pro Pen 2, right? They both are very high. They both end up in the excellent range. Versus, look at the CP913. It's okay. It's actually not bad at all. So Pro Pen 3 is red. That's the ACP 500. That's the red scale there, or the red charts. Pro Pen 2 is the yellow. And so what that's going to do is people are going to ask me questions like, oh, how does this pen... Okay, let's do an actual real thing here, right? I'll go ahead and just refresh this. And I'm going to go find the Pro Pen 3. And we're going to compare the Pro Pen 3, which is the latest professional pen from Wacom. Oops, I dragged it in the wrong place. My mistake. Drag it here. Let's compare it to the new SenseLabs pens, okay? Because like, how are they doing here? Because I just measured them a week or so ago. We'll take a look at the 3-button V2. And I'll do the 3-button V3 as well, okay? Well, actually start with this. Let's start with this. Now it's confusing because they're all very similar. Take a look at this. Blue is SenseLabs. Red is Wacom, Pro Pen 3. So the new pen from SenseLabs, the V2 pens, actually don't do bad at all. They're in the one or two are in the good range, and the other two end up very high in the good range. One at just the border of good and okay. So overall, Pro Pen 3 is better. Tablet Kitten, yeah, I still struggle with it. I mean, I'm biased, of course. I like the way Windows Explorer works much better. Let's compare another one. Okay, classic thing. What about those UD-EMR pens? Well, guess what? I measured a bunch of them. We'll start with CP913. I love this tool because it's so much easier for me to interactively show you things. There's CP913. Let me, maybe I should zoom in a little bit so it'll be easier for you to see what's going on. Let's try that. Maybe it's a little too much. Okay, that should work. That's the CP913. Let's do CP923, the supposed upgrade from Wacom. Okay, now you can probably tell it did not. Okay, let me change it by pen model color. CP913 is in red. That's the older pen. CP923, look at it. It's, you know, it's similar, but it's a little lower in the pressure curve. It's closer to the left, which means it's harder to control pressure, right? I'll check. I'll check. I have done it. I just don't know if it's included in this data set. Let's compare the Samsung S Pen. So I have, I think, 5 or 6 of these. Okay. And the S Pen is basically falling in between the, it's similar to the CP923, okay? I would say it's similar to 19. So they're all similar, but the CP913 is still, I think, the best pen. Now let's see if we can answer Yvette's question. Do I have Apple Pencil? I know I've done it, but it looks like I don't have it here. There's a challenge with, I can just talk about it though. Measuring pressure is pretty easy with Windows for getting these graphs because you don't have to move the pen. If you just hold the pen still, you're getting numbers. With Android and Apple, you have to move the pen to get some, not even just pressing down, you have to move the pen to get pressure data. Moving the pen affects the pressure data. So it's a bit weird to get the pressure when you're using an Apple iPad. Now, about 2 years ago, I tested the Apple iPad Pro pencils, and here's what I found. They have a very low IAF. They've had a very consistent maximum pressure of 500 gram force. And unlike these, where they're curved, their pressure response curves were very linear. Now, on paper, they're excellent pens, okay? On paper, they're excellent pens, right? Because their max pressure would be right here. They would land up just into the starting point of excellent. If you're interested in that topic, here's what I would say. Let me open up my, hang on a second. What am I trying to do here? Where's my Chrome browser? Okay, let me get to my Gitbook, and I think this will help you. Sorry, not Gitbook. I want Apple Pencil. Okay, I think let's try Apple Pencil versus EMR pens. Yeah, take a look at this and see if it's going to answer some of your questions. It's supposed to, okay? I think it should answer your questions, or at least many of them. And if it doesn't, let me know, and I'll add some information there. That's okay. So that was my tool. I hope you enjoyed that little demo. It's again, the point was just to show you that now when people ask about questions, I can show them my data really easily. It'll help me make slides for my presentations a lot easier. And now here's my confession. I didn't write the code for this. No one did, as a matter of fact. I actually used AI to create this tool. Now what I'm going to do is I'd like to tweak it in some way, so I am going to tweak the code. But the reason I'm bringing this up is AI this was Grok I used, did a really good job, because I think this is a complex thing. I mean, it lets me have lots of control of how visualization works. And I was really surprised I was able to just say what I wanted, and it just built the thing. In a 2-hour session, it probably made only 2 mistakes where I said, hey, this isn't working, can you fix it? And it fixed it. I was really happy. So that's another thing I'm really liking about AI for me, is that lots of times I need to do little things like little analysis of some numbers or graphing, and it's just easier just to give them the data. Talakid, I'm not sure if I'd call it the Microsoft method of programming, but it saved me a lot of time. Right now, I wouldn't recommend this for someone who doesn't code, because you don't know what it's doing. I mean, I can read the code and tell what it's doing if it makes sense. Like, is it meeting my expectations? But, I think you have to be careful with it to make sure it's doing what you think it's doing. But overall, I was very happy. I didn't have to be super hyper specific with what I wanted. I just said, do this. And it kind of figured a lot of things out for me. I did not have to I didn't have to talk to the AI, which was Grok. I didn't have to talk to it like I would talk to a developer at Microsoft, which is super specific and very legalistic. right? Let's see. If you make an open, it's actually on. It's on Git. It's actually on Git. Where is it? Hang on. I'll show it to you. My pressure data is on Git, and I'll send both links right now, actually. So you can see how many projects I have, right? The pressure data is this link. I'll go ahead and just paste it in the chat. If anyone wants to analyze it, you have all my data. And then, what was this one called again? This was Pressure Responsive Viewer. That's the tool I was just showing you. And then I may want to just show you one more tool, which I have up here, actually, which is, hopefully this works. Let's see. Can I view it? Can I view it? I guess I can download it and view. You're gonna like this one. Well, it's silly, but like, you know, it's helpful for certain demonstrations. Okay, let's bring it up. So ignore these sliders, okay? Oops, okay. Ignore the sliders. They're not important. What this is trying to convey is this on the far left is the actual pressure response curve of your pen. Okay? So they never look like this. They look like this. Okay? Now, in the middle is the pressure curve, which means this is how this is going to be mathematically post-processed. Now, this is a linear pressure curve, so it doesn't change anything, right? So if you know your pen responds to pressure like this pressure curve doesn't affect anything, because here's the output. However, if you start changing the pressure curve, you can see how it linearizes the input, the original behavior of the pen, right? So that's what this is about. This is about showing people what pressure curves actually do to the pressure behavior. Now, obviously this curve for the pressure response is mathematically constructed, but I'm based on all those pages I just created with AI, I'm going to have it load up the actual data for some pens, and then I'll be able to show people exactly how the pressure curve affects this original shape. Does that make sense? Right? So I'm having a lot of fun creating these kind of tools. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to test. So I'm going to leave you for just a minute and just get the equipment and come here. Someone wanted me to test the IAF of certain pens, so I'm going to get the equipment and I'll be right back, okay? Where am I? Yeah, okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And so the test people wanted me to do is the CP913. Compare the IAF of the CP913 on a Samsung device versus the XP Pen X3 Pro IAF on the XP Pen device. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so why don't we start with the Samsung? And for here, maybe why is that not showing? Is that not on? It is on. Oh, I see. Okay, sure. I'm gonna have to show this. Okay, fine. So you'll see a little bit of me drawing. Let me, I'm gonna close this. And move this out of the way. I have too many devices. We'll start with the Samsung. Okay. Let me log in. Wait, it's got a touch sensor. And I'm gonna go to my favorites. You know what my favorite app is, right? My tablet tester. It's already up, as a matter of fact. Okay. So, just to refresh myself, what does the CP913 feel like? Okay. It feels good. It's got lower IAF with the Samsung than with the what do you call it? The I forgot the name of the thing I'm talking about here. Then with the Move Ink, and I'll just go ahead and test the other. Oh, come on! There we go. That was one of my CP913s. Yep. Let me retest the first one real quick. Yep. And you're seeing me draw, but I'm also looking at the numbers, right? Okay, that was easy enough. Now let me store this on the left a little bit, and then get the XP Pen Magic Drawing Pad 2025, and we'll do just a similar basic test. How do the IAFs compare? Okay, hang on. Log in here as well. I am curious. I actually expect that they're going to be similar, to be quite honest. But who knows? Sometimes I am surprised. Tester. Here we go. I'll try. I have a lot of X3 Pro pens. Oh. Come on, rotate. Can you rotate? There we go. Thank you. Okay. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay. may have just thought about a new way of testing IAF that involves holding it at an angle and just seeing if the weight of the pen triggers the IAF. Not straight up and down. The weight will typically always do that. Okay, that felt more sensitive, a lower IAF. What about this one? Okay, this is the roller pen. Yeah, the roller pen doesn't work with this. That's excluded from the test. Okay, I think I have an idea now. Let's get back to the S Pen or the CP913. Interesting. Let me sorry, you may not be able to see what I'm doing. It's kind of a toss-up. They seem very similar. Tori, what I'm doing is someone asked me to test the initial activation force of the Wacom CP913 pen, which is what I'm holding here, with a Samsung device, and versus the IAF of the XP Pen X3 Pro pens on a XP Pen device. And I'm just running through this, trying to see if I can detect a pattern here. Like which ones have the lower IAF. And my brain has gone back and forth a couple of times. Sometimes thinking the CP913 had lower IAF, and sometimes the X3 Pro. And there is, of course, some variation in each pen, but I want to make sure I give a good answer to whoever asked this question. Okay, I was able to move the pen like this without drawing. Okay, so let's see if that same thing I can do with this pen. Sorry, I know it's kind of confusing to see what I'm doing since I've got both tablets here, and it's hard to see both at the same time. Okay, I'll say they're very comparable. I think the IAF of the CP913 and the IAF on the Samsung device is very comparable to the X3 Pro pen. I might give the X3 Pro a very very slight edge in some units at least. We're still going, Hera. We're still going. Hera, was it you who was asking about the CP913 on Samsung versus the X3 Pro on an XP Pen tablet? Because that's what I was testing right there. Let me know. I know someone asked for it, but I wanted to make sure. If it was you, then we can answer any more questions that you wanted answered. Let me check to see if it was someone in my YouTube comments. Okay, here's what I found out. I just did the test. Here's the XP, this is the Magic Drawing Pad 2025. And then below here is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE. The CP913 on this, I tested 3 different units versus I tested 6 different units of the X3 Pro on this, are very similar for IAF. Very similar. I would say, the pens naturally vary in their IF a little bit, so it's very close. I would, if I had to guess, I would give the X3 Pro maybe just in some units the slight edge on the XP pen. So, but I think it's very, I went back and forth multiple times on which one was more sensitive. So I will just call it a tie. Okay. CP913 on the Samsung has an IAF very similar to the IAF on the these X3 Pro pens, and that means it's about 3 gram force. Okay, I mean, that's what it should mean, maybe even slightly less. Oh, this wasn't working because I'm doing the wrong pen. Okay, I was confused. Okay, so yeah, I think we've solved that mystery, at least. Let's see. Okay, I think we got everything done I wanted to in this stream. Just as a reminder, on Tuesday I should be getting the Samsung Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra. I don't know when. I assume it's usually by noon, or it's easily by noon, or by 6 p.m. for me. So, but the minute, as I normally do it, the second it comes, I will be online streaming, talking about it, doing an unboxing, testing things. If there's something you'd like me to test, let me know. Yeah, the Pentec is good. The Pentec is good. If only they could get the tilt working, then I'd be happy. I'd be happy. Okay, with that, what time is it for me? It is 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I've been streaming for 2 hours, 45 minutes. It's been a good, fun stream. We tried a lot of little things. But I think I'm going to call it a night. Everyone, of course, what's going to mean is I'm going to be online on Discord for the next hour or two, okay? Everyone, I want to say thank you for joining. Again, another fun stream. It's fun because you're all so interactive with me on the stream. Okay, everyone, have a great night. I'll see you all soon.